I'm assuming everyone can see me. Yes. Good. I assume that you're out there. I can't tell. My name is Master Payne, purveyor of James Cheap Tricks, Minor Amazements, and yes, I can do magic, and have done magic, but recently I do PowerPoints now. That's my claim to fame. I'll take fame any way I can get it. So this is one that I revamped. I do these at Mystery School, Magic and Meaning Conference for 10 and 12 years. And I've done them 4 or 5 times at Magic Live. And so this is, Stan here? I didn't know Stan was here. And so I am reprising this. I hope I have it down because I haven't done this since May, yeah. So this may or may not work. But let me make sure my gizmo's on. It won't work. And is my PC is still on. Amazing. So let's give this a try. This one is called Secrets. Ooh. Secrets. A subject near and dear to us all, because secrets are the foundation upon which the house of magic has been built. For without secrets there is no mystery, and without mystery there can be no wonder. At least this is what we've been told. So, magicians tend to hold secrets in very high regard, doing everything within their power to protect them or shield them from the prying eyes of the uninitiated. This is why every magic club, society, and group requires that its membership take the magician's pledge, part of which states that they will never knowingly expose a secret to a trick, which is one of the reasons I don't belong to any magic club.
Wait, what?
For woe be unto he who is so callous as to violate this trust and expose a secret. Rest assured, retribution will be swift and just. First, your membership in whatever magic society you belong to will eventually be revoked. Which is one of the reasons why I don't belong to any magic societies. But if that wasn't enough, after that they will, well then they'll, followed by, did I mention that your membership will be revoked? Because really that's all that's going to happen. It's not like they've got any power in the real world over such things now, is it? Oh, certainly you'll get a stiff letter of reprimand from the powers that be and some pretty vicious shaming on social media. You also might be unable to play the better venues for a few months. But for the most part, your life will go on pretty much unchanged, unless of course you're high enough up in the magic hierarchy, and then it will be as if it never happened at all. In fact, they might even put a statue of you up in your honor in the very clubhouse you were kicked out of twice. Now, according to Jim Steinmeier, as far as secrets are concerned, he contends that we are guarding an empty box, but this doesn't keep magicians from developing various theories and subterfuges to protect them. These range everywhere from Rick Johnson's ill-understood too-perfect theory to Carl Valentine's seldom employed Hal Elk's gambit. However, of all these, the one that I am most intrigued with is developed by Dr. Larry Haas, which he calls deep method, as he believes that the best way to keep our secrets safe is to bury them so deep within our presentations that they are all but imperceptible to our audiences. He compares one's performance to a calm and serene lake and advises us to avoid any suspicious moves or unnatural behaviors that might cause ripples of doubt to appear on the water's surface. A stellar idea deserving of continual thought, at least for some. As for me, I have a somewhat different approach, which is why the title of this year's Master Payne's Conjuring Conjecture is titled, I'm Just Too Shallow to Go Deep. But this doesn't mean that I don't have a theory of my own. I do, and it's wholly mine and original to me, though I have little doubts that later today or tomorrow someone in the dealer's room, table, will come up to me to inform me that I've lifted this book idea from some obscure magic book written by someone I've never heard of. But if I timed this right, I have about 12 minutes left in this talk. And so for the duration of this time, this theory is mine and mine alone. It is based on a little understood portion of the human psyche that lies at the very center of our being, about there. And this is the fact that, as a rule, people hate mystery. But I hear you say, Master Payne, how could this be so? Mystery books and movies are two of the most popular genres that there are. How could we possibly hate them? To which I would counter that these aren't really mysteries, as each one comes with a resolution. How popular would they be if you tore out that last chapter or removed that final reel? Not very, because about that last all-important 10 minutes, Psycho just becomes a fairly pedestrian story about a crazy old lady with a knife. So, regardless of what Horace Bolton might have tried to tell you, it's not fun to be fooled, and people just don't like knowing how things work. As an example, our ancient ancestors had absolutely no idea what this stuff was. But instead of being honest with themselves and saying, I don't know, and then sit around for 150,000 years for this guy to show up and tell them, they instead concocted their own solution, usually employing anthropomorphic deities of one form or another. Sure, they hadn't a shred of evidence to support these claims, but they willingly accepted them because it kept them from experiencing the discomfort of the cognitive dissonance of just not knowing. So, it doesn't really matter how deeply you bury that secret or how you try to disguise it. Given the opportunity, your spectator is going to come up with a solution. True, it's probably wrong, but that really doesn't matter because right now, both these people are suffering from what I call the Einstein effect, as from their relative positions, they each believe themselves to be correct. There are, of course, those magicians that feel that just as long as the spectator hasn't come up with the correct solution, then they have been successful in fooling them. But have they really? Because as the old adage clearly states, if a spectator figures out a trick, even if they're wrong, does it still make a noise? Wait, that's not right. Let's try that again. If a spectator figures out a trick, even if they're wrong, have they still been fooled? I contend no. Which is why I don't put an emphasis on fooling people when creating a routine or trick. In fact, it's pretty low on my list of things to do. Because I believe that another way to keep our secrets safe is not only to bury them deep within our presentation, but to throw the idea that we simply have to fool people into the hole as well. Yes, sacrilege, I know, because many people here believe that fooling people is pretty high up on our job description. But so is entertaining them. And wouldn't both tasks be made easier if we could get our audience members to stop focusing in on the secret because we've provided them something more than just a puzzle to figure out? And this is the idea behind what I call the I don't care theory of magic. We want our audiences to stop caring about how the tricks are done because they're viewing our performances much the same way they would view any other form of legitimate theater. No, I said legitimate theater. That's better. Why would we want to do this? Because no one has ever stood up after a performance of Romeo and Juliet and shouted out, hey, those guys aren't really dead. So it only stands to reason that if we can get an audience to accept this illusion by employing some of the self-same techniques, we might be able to get them to buy into this one as well. Yes, 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 I know there's a great deal of difference between your typical magic show and a production of what is commonly referred to as the theater. We can't expect our audiences to willingly suspend their disbelief the same way they would for a play or a movie, but this doesn't mean that we can't employ some basic theatrical techniques to help disguise our secrets, such as plot, conflict, motivation, narrative, character, to name just a few. Viewing magic through a more theatrical lens provides us with a plethora of performance possibilities, as well as challenging some commonly held beliefs. For instance, many people believe that you want to start your show off with a quick, hard-hitting effect that figuratively punches your audience right between your eyes and establishes your dominant role as the alpha male. At least in your mind. But I feel that this can have an adversarial effect, as many people would then attempt to expose your secrets to challenge your dominant place in the hierarchy of the performance. Wouldn't it be much better first to introduce yourself, set the mood, establish character before working your audience's understanding of reality? Not only is this better theater, it's just good manners. And those are just some of the basic theatrical techniques that can be employed. There are many, many more, some of which I will attempt to illustrate by dissecting one of my most popular routines, the sword through neck. A stupendously stupid trick, and it nearly perfectly illustrates the two-perfect theory, as there's only two possible solutions. Either the handle retracts into the blade retracts into the handle, and this fake tip pops out, or the sword simply bends around the neck. Now, since I don't belong to any magic society, and don't live in fear of that letter of reprimand, I can safely tell you that the sword simply bends around the neck. This blatant, I know, I'm sorry I ruined it for you. This blatant methodology is what keeps this trick out of many magicians' repertoire, as they feel that there is little entertainment value to be had in a trick whose secret is so easily deduced. But for nearly 40 years, it has been the mainstay of my medieval Renaissance fair act, because I get a solid 8 to 12 minutes of audience participatory theater out of it. Now, by getting so much time out of such a simple trick, either means that I'm pushing that sword through really, really slowly, or the perforation of the spectator's neck is no longer the primary purpose of the routine. It's also important to know that I don't call this the sword through neck, but instead the horrible, the insidious, the unspeakable ram's bladder trick. Ooh. Which I hope goes a little far in demonstrating how my presentation differs from most. I have created this routine by putting the method back to the presentation. Many people confuse method and presentation, thinking that the only object of tricks like the floating ball, or cards in the pocket, or coins through table is to get the ball to float, the cards into the pocket, or the coins through the table, usually in the quickest and most expeditious way possible, thus robbing themselves of many performance possibilities. And so, since the trick is called sword through neck, all they believe is that you have to push that sword through the neck as quickly as possible so that they can move on to their next amazing miracle. Thus, as I said, robbing themselves of many potential performance possibilities. When creating a routine, it's vitally important that as schmaltzy and hallmarky as it sounds, that it is not the destination, it's the journey. Ooh, yes. Sometimes dangerous, but always worth it. No one taught me this more than my friend, mentor, and colleague, the Reverend Chumley, raconteur, monologuist, and vaudeville artiste extraordinaire. He has the great gift of taking the simplest of effects and expanding them into presentations of preposterous proportions. Without his training and tutelage, I have little doubt that I would be chucking coins into bottles in less than a minute like most of you guys. Instead, I can take a leisurely 20 minutes to do so. I can. And Chumley taught me two very important lessons. The first is that the secret really doesn't lie in the trick. The secret is in the presentation. And most importantly, the longer the presentation, the less crap you have to haul around. So, something that becomes vitally important when you get to be my age. Because on a side note, I was once asked on an online questionnaire as to what trick would you never put in your show, to which I answered anything that requires a second trip to the car. And that, in a nutshell, is the I don't care theory of magic. Which, someone's just telling me now that it bears a striking resemblance to Paul Daniels' going home theory, but I don't care because I still have got about a minute left, so this theory is mine and mine alone. So, does it work to keep our secret safe? Probably not. I mean, as entertaining as my certain through neck trick is, I doubt I have ever really fooled anybody with it. Come on, it just goes around the neck. How obvious is that? But it doesn't keep it from being my most requested trick. People come out to the fair specifically to see it and are sad if they've missed it. I was once even given an actual ram's bladder just to see what I would do with it. So, in the end, your spectator is always going to come up with a solution, even though you try to distract them. So, what's more important is for you to create routines that people enjoy watching, whether they know how it's done or not. Because what you want them to see you as is like their favorite TV show that they can watch over and over and over again without ever tiring of seeing it. Or better yet, you want them to see you as their best friend, because a friend is someone who can see right through you, but still enjoys the show. Thank you.
Yeah.